So I've just been disconnecting the power things. You've got 3-phase wires that are connected through these things. These were not easy to solder on. One of them sort of broke off early into the life of the bike, so I ended up swapping it for this with this. But the idea is you can quickly disconnect it with these I think they're called XT160 bullet connectors. Really hard to solder, especially with thick 8 wire gauge wires. That's why the Suron is such a good design, because the motor is so close to the controller in the battery that you don't need long cables. They've obviously designed it that way. Whereas this, I've got the cable runs up here into the controller, and then there's a bunch of wires going around, and it goes through this thing, and then it goes into the battery. So, I'm trying to fix the puncture, because it was working fine for a while with the slime, the green liquid, but I've noticed that the green liquid has been leaking out in sort of large amounts all of a sudden, after a couple of months of it being okay. So I'm thinking it's not there's no point riding it when it's like that, because if it breaks down, it's very heavy. It's going to be difficult to get it in the car. So I'm thinking it's time to try and fix this with a puncture repair kit or something. Yeah, puncture repair kit is cheaper than replacing the whole tyre inner tube, but because I've not done it before, it's a bit you worry that it's not going to hold, I think it will be okay. Just seems I can afford a new inner tube. It's just that it seems quite wasteful, especially with a tube of this size. So yeah, to get the motor off, I have to cut all these cable ties, because the cable goes here, then it goes round here, under there. So this is all you don't really want this in electronics, like all this long wires, because it loses energy. Not much, but the more current you put through it, the more it's gonna struggle and it's gonna waste energy. So yeah, I'm gonna cut all these cable ties. I mean, that's a waste as well, because all these little things you have to buy, it all adds up. But yeah, then I have to loosen these things, and then it's got bolts under here as well. So I'll probably do it, lay the bike flat and do it. Probably not going to do it now because I'm too tired, but yeah, it's probably taken me a couple of hours to because I had to desolder these, because the way that the tutorial video of how to make it, he said use this waterproof connector, and it ended up being no good, and it just didn't work properly. The connection was unreliable, so I had to cut it off and solder it together. Where's the other end of it gone? Yeah, so for some reason the guy said don't use these standard connectors like these ones. You want to use this waterproof thing, but it just didn't work properly. So I think you'd be better off with this, and then covering it in a plastic bag, wrapping it around with tape. You'd be better off using one of these if you can get one and make it work properly. So you got this is a spare one, right? You got your main one, then you got a spare one. So I think that's the spare set or something. I can't remember. But yeah, I've been just been having a play with this and trying to think how I can fix the geometry. And what I've done is I've rotated. I thought, let's just try rotating this stem seat post, because it's supposed to be this way around. Yeah, it's supposed to go backwards, like on this one. You see, it's supposed to be backwards like this. So it's supposed to have the seat's supposed to have a slight tilt forwards, like this one does. But if you rotate it backwards, it can't. It can only tilt like backwards. It can't tilt forwards properly. So what I've done is I've taken this piece and filed it along the edge, so the bolt can move further along slightly to a bigger angle, so this can move to the left more, and that's hopefully allowed it to go at a better angle, but it's still quite flat, whereas I want it a little bit like one notch more on here or something would probably work. The problem with having it like this is it puts pressure in a place where you don't really enjoy having pressure. So yeah, I'm thinking I can try and swap this seat over for the other one and see if it feels any better without having it have to change on this part, having to move, because that's at its limit as far as it will go basically, and just see if it's any better in this position with the other seat. And the other thing I've noticed is that the brakes feel a bit spongy. This one's not too bad, but this one is really bad. That it goes all the way to I can pull it all the way to the bar. So these brakes were a new set, both put on at the same time, but one of them is better than the other for some reason. So it looks like I need to bleed these brakes. I've heard people say that these you can start having problems with this type when you start trying to bleed them, apparently. So I'm a bit worried about that. I don't know.